So hello and welcome to the first video on the 2.0 walkthroughs. So today's video is mainly going to focus in on how to read your individual tests. If you want to know more about the wellness score and the health scores, that will be in the following video. So to start, when we want to look at one of the individual tests you've just ordered, there's two ways we can get to that area. The first way is by looking into the top right hand corner of the screen on your dashboard, and we see these three white lines. So when we click on that, a menu, drop-down menu will come down, as you can see here on the screen, and we can just simply click on test results, and that will take you to a screen where we can start viewing those test results. Alternatively, we can use this top black bar up here that says your tests. Just click on the drop down saying open, and it will show you all of the tests that you have available to you or that you've ordered. It will also show you the status of those tests, with the results available, whether there's a consultation required for you because there's been some red flags raised on your biomarkers that we've measured, whether you registered your test, dispatched, whether it's ordered. So we can see a few things here about the status of the test, as well as when that test was uploaded. So as this is a functional account, all these dates, functionally a demo account, all these dates are the same. But what we can do is when we have a lot of tests like this, it's normally easier to navigate by looking through this section than it is to look through the previous section that I just showed you. So if we just click on EnviroTox, for example, it will take you into the EnviroTox test where you'll see a tab saying results and biomarkers. So we can look at the individual biomarkers just by going to that tab, and we can see here there's different displays for each individual biomarker. Some of these displays will be what we call low-tailed or high-tailed, which means that only a low result is good or only a high result is good. In this case, we see most of these things are environmental toxins or toxins produced by microbial elements. So therefore, the lower they are, the better. And we see the green, amber, red traffic lighting system denoting the severity of how much of that toxin is in the system. We may also see, if we go a bit further down, how they can be traffic lighted in a slightly different way. Just as we have here. So we can see here that the optimal range is actually not the lowest end or not the highest end anymore. We can see the fact that it's in the middle. So often what we'll have with many of these mid-tailed strategies is that we'll have an optimal range in the middle, and then we'll have an outside of optimal, which is also known as the standard range, and then we'll have outside of the standard range. Now, many different labs will have slightly different ranges because most ranges are built on statistical analysis, hence why it's called a standard range, because it's relevant to a standard deviation. Now, what we've done here at Omnos is we've also looked at the optimal ranges for health. So we've been more specific to say, right, well, actually, this is where we want to be, but here often isn't terrible, but it's not great either. Okay, so that's why we've got this traffic lighting system. In some cases, we may also see that things are more sensitive. I think we may have had one up here, like these. So we can see it goes straight from green into red. So we're saying a second this becomes elevated past a certain point is actually something that needs considerable attention. So another thing you might be able to see on here as well, as I've been scrolling through, is the fact that it says related results. So we can click on this, and it can pull down this little drop-down menu showing the results that are related to this individual biomarker. So we can look at that and say, okay, we can click on that individual result state and then see everything that's related to that in itself. And we'll come to talk about this in a little bit more detail very shortly. Before we do that, just take you back here and show you another step that we can take to interrogate each data point a little bit further, which is you can click on the data point itself, and it can give you a brief description of what it is, what it does, why you measure it, and also, again, the related results here, if we so choose to look through them. So now we've been through your data, your biomarkers, we can have a quick look through your results. So these results, they are an amalgamation of all the data points that we've measured from you. So that may be all from this particular test, or there may be some other data points or biomarkers relating to this result state from other tests as well. So we can see here what the probability that we think this statement is true or correct. Okay, so this probability, 100% likely, so it means there's lots of evidence suggesting that there's an increased need for vitamin B1. We can also, as we did before, look at related biomarkers, just as before we looked at related results, and see which biomarkers are being shown to have been having an effect here for this result. Again, we can expand these to see the ranges as well. And again, we can click on these individual results to find a little more about them. We can look at which other results may be related to this result. So in this case, we see lactic acidosis is abnormal, and therefore it's highly probable that B1 is in need. And we can also see related biomarkers, which ones have been tested, and which ones have not been tested. We can look at the related research, and we can look at possible symptoms that you may have experienced, as well as symptoms that you actually have experienced. And we can combine all this information together to create these probabilities of how likely it is that these statements are true. Once we see a statement that's over 60%, generally what we'll see is recommendations that will form the bottom part here. So we can see if there's certain practitioners that we suggest you see as a result. We can see if there's any recommendations with things you think you should do as a result, and also things you should avoid, or maybe things you should be taking as a supplement. And we can see these individual recommendations placed here at the bottom of the card once we've had a look through all of these things together. So when you're looking through these elements, like as I said before, they're combined elements from either all the data points that's been collected on that test, if you've only got that test, as well as the information from your symptom analysis, or it's a combination of multiple tests with that symptom analysis and potentially even your genes. If you've done that test as well, the genes will also have an impact on these result states, changing the sensitivity of each individual result based on your own genetic profile. So, the next stage would be to look at your health and wellness scores, which will be in the next video, where we'll also talk about how we look through the recommendations and the food lists that are presented to you as a result of all the information collected.